You want to hit longer drives, hit your irons closer to the hole, hit better wedge shots, sink more putts? The SCOREGolf Instruction Special is next.
This is SCOREGolf, the voice of Canadian golf. SCOREGolf is brought to you by Molson Canadian 67, official beer of the PGA of Canada, RBC Canadian Open, and Canadian Women's Open. Tailor-made golf, the #1 driver in golf. GolfKelowna.com, 20 courses, from easygoing to ego-shattering. Now, here's your host, Bob Weeks.
Hello, Canada, and welcome to a very special edition of SCOREGolf TV. This is our 1-hour instruction special here on TSN. And for the next 60 minutes, we're going to give you all sorts of help for your golf game, from driving to chipping to putting to even custom fitting your clubs. And on ranges like this, from coast to coast, right across our country, people are trying to improve their games. Now, unfortunately, a lot of them are doing it solo. They don't have an instructor. They need some help and they need some lessons. Well, more fun if your score is a little bit lower, right? Well, that's what our show is all about today. To start things off, though, we want to get you dialed in on your equipment. If you don't have custom fit equipment, well, you're already behind the 8 ball in trying to play better golf. Recently, I went out to the TaylorMade Mat Performance Center, and they dialed me in for some new gear that took away all the excuses I have for making bad shots. All right, Cameron, you're the guy who's going to have the, I don't know if you call it pleasure of seeing my swing and fitting me and trying to get me into some new clubs here. This is an amazing place, this TaylorMade Performance Lab. This is so much high-tech gear here, so many things here. Tell me about it.
Well, really, you know, TaylorMade Performance Labs are designed to help all golfers. I mean, they're positioned almost for tour players, juniors, club champs, but also like the regular guy that plays on Saturday mornings and has a hard time breaking 90 or 100. Really what we do here is to help all golfers get down to that one common denominator of what club's going to work best for them, what's going to allow them to play their best golf. And of the entire range that TaylorMade makes, it's massive. So, you know, a lot of the golfers out there find that they need a bit of help to isolate what specs are perfect for them. That's what we use all this great equipment for.
So right now, I'm being dressed up in this stuff that this is kind of reminds me of when I was on house arrest. Very similar thing. These are reflective markers, and this is what the mat system uses to track my swing, correct?
Correct. Yeah, these reflective markers are picked up by the infrared cameras, and that builds a 3D model. Really, the mat system is designed to take information from 6 very high-speed cameras, proprietary technology that allows us to see exactly the motion of all these key points. Wow. Biomechanical engineers have isolated these specific locations that we'll be mapping today, and that allows us to track not only what your body does, but again, when we give you a golf club, it's also marked as well. So again, the computer's able to track exactly what this club does, and then from there it builds a profile of exactly how you swing.
So what's actually going to happen here?
Well, what happens is as you're hitting shots, we're filming you from 6 different angles, and that triangulates into a 360-degree look, and we can rotate that view from all angles.
So you can look at me from upside down?
Upside down, top down, down the line, face on, behind you from the target, which normally you wouldn't want to put a camera out there. So really we can look at your swing from all angles. That really helps our fitters to isolate what it is that happens in your swing and where we should be looking to improve your equipment.
The bad news is I think from any angle, it doesn't look all that good, to be honest with you right now. But let's have a look here, and you can tell me what you see. All right, Cam, I've gone through the rigmarole here. I've taken all the stuff off. You've got some numbers on the screen here. How bad is it?
It's actually pretty good. You're pretty consistent. You know, for a lot of golfers, they come in here thinking that, oh man, I'm unfittable. I'm not a very consistent player. But what we usually see is the fact that the numbers don't lie. You know, you move at the same path, the same face angle, same angle of attack. Your speeds are consistent. Your impact location is consistent. Your ball speed's the same. Really what we've got to do is isolate how we can get the ball to travel a little bit further for you. And, you know, looking at your numbers, we saw that, you know, your launch angle is maybe a little bit low. So we'd use something like an R1 driver and add a little bit of loft, get the right shaft built in, and isolate all the different conditions with, you know, face angle, dial, and shot shape weights to hone in on what's going to get you the longest.
I mean, that's the beautiful thing about this driver, isn't it? You can really tune it to anything.
It's really tunable, and you know, and like we said before, for a golfer that's still sort of working on his swing a little bit, they can actually get this driver and work through their swing change if they've got some work that they're doing with their local PGA professional, You can almost go and set the driver up backwards and make it harder to hit. It'll actually help you to swing it better sometimes. So it's a very versatile club.
We even went through the putting. I mean, you even have a putting fitting thing here as well.
Correct, and I think that's almost one of the, I hate to say, like sort of the sleeper categories when we talk about fitting. Half your shots are on the putting green usually. So
more than half for me, but
we spend a lot of time on the putter here, and I think we do a really great job of being able to figure out not just what putter to use, but how to set it up, what length, what lie angle, what loft. A lot of people don't even know that there's loft on the putter, and it really plays a big role into how well the ball comes off the face. And then from there, obviously, head shapes, face balances, all kinds of different variables that we can help the golfer to figure out what's best for their game.
Pretty cool. All right, I'm looking forward to my new set of clubs.
Great.
This is going to be this is one of the good parts of my job, folks. It's pretty neat to go through here. Thanks a lot.
Hi, my name is Scott Cokes, and I'm the head teaching professional at the Hamilton Golf and Country Club. I've got a tip here today to help you gain about 10 yards on your drive. It amounts to two things. We're going to stretch out our hips and our back very quickly. This is a stretch that you can do on the first tee or on the range before you warm up. What we're going to do is we're going to assume a lunge position with our left knee forward like this, club above our head. Then what we're going to do is we're going to turn and twist into that side as far as we can go, keeping that over our head. And what this stretch does is this loosens up your hip flexors, which most of us walk around with very tight hip flexors, as well as loosen up our upper back. So that's going to aid in our rotations, as well as free up our hip speed a little bit. Okay, when the hips are locked up and they can't move very quickly, our club head speed greatly diminishes. So we're going to do that on both sides. Right knee forward, full stretch, as far as we can go. We're going to do that about 5 times per side. And that'll get your upper back, as I said, and your hips nice and mobile. Secondly, we're going to take a couple of good hard practice swings where we make a swing, but we actually rebound at the bottom. Okay, and what this does is it teaches the hips to fire aggressively, but then stabilize, which allows us to release the club at a much faster rate. And that's really the secret to taking the ball a long way, is the club head has to release at a very fast rate. With those two tips, in our studies here at Hamilton, most of our players gain about 3 to 4 miles an hour just doing those two things. That equates to about the 10 yards. Thank you.
Coming up, we take you inside the mind of Sean Foley. You know, on driving ranges like this on the PGA Tour, there is a Canadian teacher who goes up and down instructing his clients, and he has brought them to the tops of their games. In fact, he's brought them to the top of the official world golf ranking. Of course, we're speaking of none other than Sean Foley from Burlington, Ontario, who instructs, among others, Tiger Woods. But we have him here on this show to instruct you. By now, just about every golf fan has heard the story of Sean Foley. The Canadian-born golf instructor graced the covers of SCOREGolf magazine when he was a young teacher at Glen Abbey in Oakville, Ontario. Now Foley spends most of his days on ranges at PGA Tour events or at his teaching academy at the Orange County Golf and Country Club in Orlando, Florida. There's not really a Sean Foley philosophy of the swing, is there, or is there?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously the philosophy is that they understand their technique without becoming mechanical. Second, there are a lot of arbitrary stylistic points to the golf swings that don't really matter. There are dynamics. So the dynamics of rotation, the dynamics of muscle loading, and then the dynamics of what happens when a flat surface hits a round object. So yeah, there's a lot of law and structure, but there's no real, your arm has to be here and your arm has to be here. I think you just get to a point where, you know, you look at someone who said if you want to draw the ball, you need a flat backswing. Well, I mean, look at Mo and Hogan. They didn't draw the ball, but they have what you would say is a flat backswing.
Coaches are around to direct their players and inspire them to perform. Foley is a man who's well-read, so who inspired his coaching style?
You know, Scotty Bowman. I read up on Harvey Pennick and Claude Harmon and John Wooden. You know, even people like Ken Dryden. You know, just to kind of get an understanding of what it was. And basically it comes back to, you know, 3 or 4 points, right? Working smart, working hard and efficiently. And then it's just passion. And what I've seen with the great coaches is the great coaches just set up environments for these guys to flourish in. rather than saying this is the environment, they kind of set up the environment. You're going to play with him, you're going to play with him, your shift's going to run at this time and this time, because they could see chemistries and things in amongst the players together. Like if you look at a Real Madrid, they almost have every position player on the field, like the New York Yankees. They don't win, but they have almost the best player in baseball at every position. So who's to say that that's really the key? Now, in an individual sport, you know, coaching's a little bit different. So I go to the range sometimes where I've learned everything that night before about the Lakers, because Hunter's playing really well and I need to have things to talk about, and he loves cars and he loves to talk about the Lakers. So me knowing what Kobe's stats are in the final quarter is about a 25-minute conversation that gets us to deter technique. Now I've got them hitting it really well. Now what do I do? And it's very easy for me to tinker and want to talk more about it. So I've had to learn over the last few years just to kind of stand there and only give answers when asked questions, rather than feeling the need to be so in there, as you are with the person at Glen Abbey, the 20 handicap.
Given the success he and his players have had over the past couple of seasons, it's amazing to hear how this native of Burlington, Ontario, has remained grounded despite the fame that comes with coaching PGA Tour superstars.
Nothing is only good. You're going to have yin and yang in many situations. But I mean, more than anything, it's just that, you know, it's just to get invited back. If a guy coaches for the same team in the NBA, even though they never win a championship, if each year his contract is renewed, I think that's success. Because out on tour, coaches and caddies and managers and the like are hired quickly and fired quickly. So to be now on my 5th year with Hunter, my 4th year with Justin, and the start of my 3rd year with Tiger, I think that that's probably indicates to me there's been some success.
But don't look for Sean Foley to take credit for the on-course success his players are having.
At the end of the day, they have to pick the club, read the putt, figure out the wind, handle slow play. You know, there are so many factors that go into what they're playing. I think in the past I would have believed like that my role was greater than it is. You know, people say, well, you had 6 wins and 27 top 10s. I didn't have a single win or a single top 10. It's the players that did. And whether I helped them a little bit or a lot, it changes depending on certain weeks, you know. But at the end of the day, they're doing all the work.
Here with another tip for your weekend play, and Colin Emery, head professional, Weston Golf and Country Club. Today we're talking about the proper height to tee up the ball, and with the size of drivers these days, it's something that you just can't sort of leave to chance. You really should take some careful consideration to hit the best shot possible.
Swinging the golf club, Bob, is a challenge in itself. You know, you want to give yourself every opportunity for success. I see a lot of players with incorrect tee height, so they're kind of behind the 8 ball before we even start. Having half the golf ball or the equator just above the top of the crown of the club is good for most players. When you're really under the gun and you have to hit the fairway, I think teeing the golf ball actually a little bit lower. And these new drivers are designed to get the golf ball up in the air, and I think you'd be surprised if you practiced a little bit at how low you can actually tee the golf ball with the driver these days and still promote the correct ball flight.
Okay, so in this situation here, you got 2 balls down in front. Let's sort of put your driver beside it and maybe sort of walk us through what's too high and what's too low and what's just right. This one looks like it might be teed up a little bit too high.
Absolutely, and I do see a lot of this when I play with my members here at Weston. Hitting the golf ball as high is tremendous. It's great. Your longest shots are going to be your highest, there's no question, but when you tee the golf ball too high, it promotes some bad swing habits. You almost have to scoop the golf ball to get it up in the air, leave more weight sort of on your back foot. You don't get to cover the golf ball as much, and this will probably limit distance more than anything else. Okay. I think example number 2 here, this is probably a little bit lower than what people are accustomed to, but I know when I really have to hit the fairway when I'm under the gun, I think teeing the golf ball a little bit lower than what you're comfortable with promotes straighter shots. And with the onset of these new larger heads, it's really surprising how high you can hit the golf ball when it's teed a little bit lower.
All right, so take a little more consideration when you're in there trying to tee up the ball, when you get into the final holes or whenever you're out there, and be careful what you do, and you can hit better shots, you'll get more distance, and you'll probably hit more fairways too.
Absolutely, no question.
Hi, I'm Clint McCormick, PGA of Canada teaching professional here at Salem Ridge Golf and Academy. Today I want to talk to you about pre-shot routine and how important and how useful it can be to us out on the golf course. I know so many of my students have excellent swings but then have a tough time taking it from the driving range out onto the golf course. So the first thing I really want to focus on is making sure that when we're behind the ball, we're far enough back so we can get a full perspective of the entire shot at hand. From here, we can run through our checklist of everything we want to do in that nice swing, making sure we're remembering everything that Clint taught you. And then at this point, now we've transferred our whole checklist into one feeling or one thought. At this point, we can step up to the ball, make sure we're lined up to the target, and now we can just let one rip. And hopefully, if we put a good swing on it, we'll be all over the target. If you have any more questions, come see me at Salem Ridge Golf and Academy.
After the break, we break down my swing at Golf Tech. As much as golf equipment has improved through technology, so too has golf instruction with things like TrackMan and video analysis. When you use these machines, boy, you just can't hide from anything. They tell you exactly what you're doing in your golf swing through pictures and numbers, and well, oftentimes it's a little scary, but it's also a good way to improve your golf swing. But if you think you have seen everything in golf instruction technology, you ain't seen nothing yet. Take a look at what I saw when I went to Golf Tech in Edmonton. Well, today on the Tech Report, we're talking about a fancy piece of equipment. I'm kind of strapped in here to it, and it's on this pole here. Matt Carruthers from Golf Tech in Vancouver is with us to help us understand this. This is G-Swing, Matt, and why don't you tell us exactly what this does?
Certainly, Bob. This is the hardware sensor that measures the sensors that you're wearing. If you turn around here, everybody can have a look at the motion sensors that he's got on his hips and on his shoulders. So when a client is in here taking their lesson, we're going to make sure that this hardware is set up at the right angle to read these measurements as accurately as possible. And these measurements are going to show us what basically the chassis of your golf swing is doing during the swing.
So when you say what it's doing in terms of the way it turns, the way it bends, the way it...
Correct. The turns, the bends, the tilts. And the other thing it does is it will talk about the distances that these things travel three-dimensionally during your swing. Okay, a lot of people are out of balance in their swings, and they've got too much lateral motion or too much in and out motion in their golf swing, and it will also show us how far they're moving. And we correlate all of that to the tour averages out there, and basically identify those in yellow and green and red colors.
Okay, why don't you show me exactly what you're talking about here?
Sure.
It'll be a little easier to describe it, and,
Sure.
And we'll go over to the computer and have a look.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Okay, Matt, now I've taken my swing, you've got it all recorded here. Now show me what this G-Swing technology is going to show me here.
Well, what we're trying to do is build a control of the golf swing from the inside out of the chassis. And as you go through the different positions of your swing, the key positions of your swing, so the address and the top and the impact and the finish, for each of those positions, your body has to be in alignment, has to be in posture, and what you're going to see are those numbers in degrees identified. Okay? And as you are seeing as I pull these out here, you are 5 out of 6 in your address position at the top. The one yellow you got is for the levelness of your shoulders, and what that sensor is saying is that in relation to your right shoulder, your left shoulder is only 1 degree lower. And that's understandable because you tend to have your shoulders a little too close to the target in relation to where your hips are. Okay, and so that position there should be a higher amount of tilt. Okay, the tour average there is 11 degrees of leftward tilt, and that is for an iron. That's the other thing that the system does, is we go in there and we tell it what club you're using, so that the numbers will change based on the clubs you're using. So as you go through your backswing, what you're going to see here is as you got to the top of your backswing, again, you were very solid in greens, 5 out of 6, and you had a yellow, which was lack of shoulder turn.
Right.
Okay. And then as you move through to impact, this was sweet. You're 6 out of 6 green at impact.
What do you mean?
We see that in low handicappers only, okay? And we don't even see it in a lot of club pros, okay?
Wow.
That's a great number right there. And then at your finish, draw your attention to the right screen here. You're going to see that at your finish, you had 3 greens and a couple of yellows and a red. And the main issue here is just that you're hanging on to the angle of your posture a little too much. And in relation to your right hip, your left hip is 13 degrees lower. That's what that means. And in relation to your right shoulder, the left shoulder is 22 degrees lower. So we'd like to see you maybe coming and just get your body a little bit more vertical at the end of the swing.
This is remarkable technology. I mean, to see just from these little sensors I was wearing on my back, all these kind of numbers is outstanding.
Well, one of the big benefits of this, which is what we really have to talk about, is that when people hear things, they don't necessarily understand them fully. Okay, turn your shoulders, turn your hips, stay in posture, all those things. So you can really get somebody to really understand this pretty quickly. The other thing is that we can start to do things to make corrections pretty simply. And the number one way that the system does it is by producing an auditory beep. And so I can create a range of beeps with the system for one aspect at a time. And that aspect can either give you a positive reinforcement beep or a negative reinforcement beep. The other thing that the beep allows you to do is, instead of a coach saying you should feel this or you should be like this, if you set a beep range and makes you move into that position, you feel it for yourself. And I would create a beep there so that you'd hear that range.
Right.
Now, I can set a range in that beep so that you don't all of a sudden start over-rotating. Okay. So you'd hear it beep, and if you turn too much, you'd hear it cut out again.
That's an amazing piece of technology, and exclusive to GolfTech?
Yes, this is all proprietary to GolfTech. Yes.
Well, thanks for that. That's a great lesson and amazing information.
Hi, my name is Eric Thorsteinson. I'm the General Manager here at Black Mountain Golf Club, and today we're going to talk about ball position and getting that correct ball position when you're practicing. So it's something that everyone has in their golf bag is golf clubs. We don't always have teaching aids with us, but everyone can build their own tee line. Tee line allows you to set up exactly where you should be in that setup position. So we've got one that parallels your target line and one that works in between your legs to allow you to know exactly where that ball is. So I've got 3 clubs here. We've got our pitching wedge or sand wedge, and 6-iron or 7-iron or 8-iron, and our hybrid, or you can look at using it as driver. But we're going to talk about those 3 different positions, and the key is we want to have one swing for 14 clubs. We don't want to have 14 swings for 14 clubs and have 14 different ball positions. We want to have one ball position for this shot. So when we're looking at our ball position and we're looking at these 3 clubs, for our sand wedge or pitching wedge or shorter iron, we're going to have a narrower stance. Allows us to be more on top of the ball and the ball actually looking like it's more in the middle of our stance. When we move up to that 6-iron, all we're going to do is move that back leg back a little to widen our stance, and it looks like the ball's moved up in our stance. But again, the ball hasn't changed. The ball's gotten further away from our body, but actually hasn't changed at all. When we get into that hybrid or driver or longer club and less loft, we're going to move that right foot or your back foot even back further to have a wider stance. So those are really the difference between when you're looking at placing your ball position. Again, one swing for 14 different clubs, not 14 swings or 14 ball positions for 14 clubs. For more assistance with your game, contact your local PGA of Canada golf professional.
I'm Dennis Firth, and I've got a simple tip to improve your ball striking. It involves a simple white golf tee. We're just going to place it in the ground. And if we leave the energy and the weight in the bottom of the golf club, it's going to improve the centerness of our hit and drive that golf ball to the target. Now what happens is if the golf club bottoms out before the tee, we've hit it fat or behind. Conversely, if we make a swing and we come up, and through impact, we're going to miss that tee or hit the ball on the top part of the equator. So the goal of this drill is to make a good solid pass and knock that tee out of its original location. Hit that tee and hit solid golf shots.
Johnny Walker presents Progress Your Game. Great game. Keep walking.
One of the most important drills I think that people can work on is the lead foot drill, or the 1-foot drill. What we're going to do is stand on the left leg. I first learned about this drill reading a golf book by Ernest Jones. Ernest Jones, back in the early 1900s, was a golf instructor. He had went to the war, stepped on a mine, and had lost his right leg. Came back and continued to teach golf and play golf, and noticed over time that he was hitting the ball much more solid and a lot straighter without being able to move into his right side. So basically, for this drill, what you're going to do is get into position where the ball position is just going to be inside the left heel. Now, the right knee is very close to the left knee, and you're up on your toe, so it feels like you have little to no support on the right side. Now from here, I want you to hit shots at full speed, but always focusing on not doing anything at the expense of balance. Okay, and again, the beauty about this drill is because we're on one foot, we have to really rotate properly and we have to stay in our tilt, because if we don't, we're gonna be pulled out of balance. So this is also good at creating a nice turn, also a steeper turn, and allowing that the arms get deeper inside the arc. So once again, remember, never at the expense of balance, as Ben Kern used to say. And you'll be amazed in doing that drill how much you can almost hit at the same distance as when you're on two leg. And the other nice part about it is it's going to teach your left foot and your left leg where they need to be at impact.
Up next, getting in shape like a tour pro. $98, $99, $100. You know, golf fitness is a huge part of the game these days, and on the PGA Tour, every player is working out in the fitness trailer. And one of the top fitness instructors on the tour, he's a Canadian, Dr. Craig Davies, and he's here to give you some tips to help you get more fit for your next golf game.
Hi, I'm here at the Totem Life Science Fitness Facility in Toronto. One of the things that I'm often asked is, how do I increase my power in my golf swing? And the standard answer is, work on your glutes, work on your hip strength. And one of the biggest things that everyone fails to look at is what anchors our body to the ground, which is our foot and our ankle. So today what I'm going to take a look at is what's actually happening in the foot and ankle in the golf swing, and how we're going to make the movements in the foot and ankle more effective so that we can increase your power, decrease your inconsistencies, and allow you to swing with more power with less injury. So what we're going to do is we're going to stand with most of our weight on our right leg. Okay, the left foot is just going to be to help with balance. We're going to take our right knee and we're going to bring it straight forward for 5 reps, pushing it as far forward as you can while keeping the heel on the ground. So we're going to do that 5 times, and then we're going to take the knee and push it on a 45-degree angle, still forward but on a 45 to the left. That lets that ankle drop in. We're going to do that 5 times. We're going to get right to that end range, keeping that heel on the ground. Then we're going to go 45 degrees out to the right, pushing that knee as far as possible out forward into that 45-degree angle while keeping the heel on the ground, going for 5 repetitions. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use our left foot as a driver to create the motion in our right ankle. So we're going to step forward with our left foot and just touch the toes. So you're going to put 5 repetitions straight ahead, then you're going to step to your left on a 45-degree angle and forward, and put as much weight as you can still on that right foot and just touch with the toes on the left side. Do the same thing now, going forward and to the right on that 45-degree angle. Now that you've done all the movements in the ankle and foot, what you should be able to do is have more effective use of that foot and ankle in the golf swing. You should be able to really use that ground to push towards your target leg on the downswing and through the finishing position. If you need to find out more or how to improve the rest of your body, you can check us out at www.tourcouncil.com.
For the top of the swing drill, all you simply need is a glove. Place it under your arm. This is something I do with pretty much every player I work with, from Justin Rose to Sean O'Hara to Hunter Mahan. And this is just to ensure that what we've created in the takeaway and this connection that we have with the arms and the body, that we continue to have that connection all the way to the top. So basically, as you set up and you get into the takeaway, you're in your reaction position. Now from here, as the club's going back in the takeaway in the proper sequence, the body starts tilting, the center of mass stays in the same place. Basically, the hinging of the wrist and the folding of the elbow will keep the pressure between the glove and the body in there. And as you can see from there, that the body and the arms are working in unison to create a seamless move at the top of the swing. I would advise you to hit balls doing this. So as you step up into it, everything's the same as before. Gripping the ground, proper sequence in the backswing. And if you do it properly, you'll probably find at the end of the swing, because everything's got so connected into this time frame, is that there's such little time in the through swing that it shouldn't actually fall out at all. So remember, if you want to be more consistent, you want to create better association between the hands and the arms and the body, If you put a glove into here, that'll continue that towel drill right into keeping everything collected to the top of the backswing. You'll find that you lag the club better and you have better speed at impact.
Hi folks, Dave Castellan from the Deerhurst Golf Academy. Today I'm working with my friend Josh here, hoping to establish a little better backswing for him when it comes to the swing plane. Please take your setup, Josh. One of the big traps most golfers get into is they activate their dominant hand too much on the backswing, which creates a path of the club coming inside. What we're going to discuss through a little drill will be to take the club back properly so that the shaft is level to the ground and parallel to the target line. Now we've achieved the proper position here in the backswing where it's level to the ground and parallel. You'll see the back of his left hand. The opposite occurs when he comes forward, and ideally we have this natural release taking place. There's the back of his right. It's level to the ground and parallel to the target line. From here, Josh, just go to your start position. Now if you get your buddy or you have a teaching aid or a golf club, we'll utilize just fine. You set up here to practice this passive hand drill. You put the butt of the club on the shaft and it's parallel to the target line. He will now draw the club back along that, tracking it so that now, once again, we've established the ideal position for that backswing. From there now, folks, if you need any help with your game, please see your PGA of Canada professional.
When we come back, we'll take a closer look at Salem Ridge Golf and Academy. Salem Ridge Golf and Academy out here in Ajax, Ontario is a wonderful place to come and learn how to play better golf. There are facilities like this across Canada, but very few that are this extensive. It has a full range, practice area, chipping, putting, practice bunker, even a 9-hole short course. And they teach thousands of lessons here every year. Let's have a look now at why so many people leave here playing better golf. Each week at your local course, you'll see golfers of all skill levels making their way through 18 holes. Some are avid players, while others, well, might need a little bit of practice. That's where academies such as Salem Ridge Golf and Academy in Ajax, Ontario come in handy. Formerly known as the Deer Creek Academy until this year, Salem Ridge offers players the ability to improve every aspect of their game. From a dedicated putting green to the short game practice area, to the 4-acre driving range and even a 9-hole academy course. Salem Ridge is a state-of-the-art practice facility. Wherever they're located, such academies provide golfers with everything they need to hone their skills and take lessons from PGA of Canada professionals. According to Golf Canada, there are 5.7 million Canadians who play golf, many of whom could use tips from teaching pros and a place to put those into practice.
One of the key things that can make people improve in a game where we generally don't improve as quickly as we should is you have to recognize there's two different types of practicing. There's a block practice, which is highly technical, and a variable practice, which is where we get rid of technique and we try to simulate the experience of playing golf. So for example, in a block practice, I would set up, and we talked about the takeaway being club head, arms, torso, hips. That would be a technique practice. So if I was doing that, I would be doing probably a couple hundred reps. I could do it in my backyard or my living room, but just learning to create the sequence, focused on getting the club light. I could do it in front of a mirror, and I could almost do it without a golf club. Those repetitions are going to change the patterns in how you move. But going to the golf course and thinking about those things aren't normally great. So we go to the range, we pull out our 7-iron, we hit 50 balls at the same target, a couple of drivers, and we go out of the course. First hole, we have a 4-iron. Second hole, we have a 3-iron. Next hole, we have a sand wedge. But we're not giving ourselves performance confidence because we're not practicing that way. So to simulate the experience, you have to obviously focus on getting into your routine, going through your whole routine, seeing the shot, feeling the shot, and then executing the shot. And my advice to you would be to change your target and your golf club on every shot. So hitting a bucket of balls this way could take you close to an hour. And you'll notice quite quickly that you get a false confidence on the range because you're hitting a ball every 8 seconds with the same exact golf club and you think that you're improving. But when you go from 3-iron to sand wedge to driver to 3-wood to 4-iron, there's much more variance there. There's different feels, different ball positions. So what happens is you don't ever result in getting any confidence. If you can get to the point when you practice in the variable practice where 7 out of 10 shots are getting within 30 feet of your target as you're changing clubs and targets each time, you'll be improving beyond where you ever thought you could be.
Around the corner, we bring you some tips for your short game. Well, if you're like me, and most golfers for that matter, you probably miss a lot of greens, and that's where this club, these clubs actually, the wedges, come in handy, and you need to really work on these. In fact, most instructors will tell you this is probably the most important club in the bag that you should be practicing with. And how do you do that? Well, you do that after you learn how to use them. And here are some tips on a short game.
Hi, I'm Nick Starchuk, head teaching pro at Mississauga Golf and Country Club. I have a tip to help you with your short game. Rather than changing the swing that you have to make to hit a different shot, I'm going to recommend changing your tool. So what I brought out today is an 8-iron, a pitching wedge, and a lob wedge. And what these are going to do is help create a different flight and a different rollout to give you a different shot. So the first shot I'm going to use is with the 8-iron. And with the 8-iron, what I'm able to do here is make a swing, keep the ball low, and have the ball roll out. So the next one you can use is going to your pitching wedge. Now with the pitching wedge with the same swing, what we're going to look for here is a shot that's going to fly a little bit higher and not roll out as much. But with the same swing, keeping your action the same and getting a different result. The last one is with the lob wedge. So now that I have my wedge in my hand, with that same golf swing, I'm expecting something that's higher and that rolls out less. So what I'm able to see there is 3 different shots to 3 different pin locations without having to change your swing.
Hi, my name is Laird White, head teaching professional at the National Golf Club of Canada. I'm trying to discover, on average, how close is my ball to the hole from just off the green. This is a great exercise to do a little bit of self-discovery and also calibrate your mindset on the golf course. I'm going to hit a couple of shots, but I've already hit a handful out here. And one more. Okay, I've hit an odd number of golf balls. There's 9 here in fact, and now the exercise works as follows. I'm going to take the closest ball away, and then I'm going to take the farthest ball away. And then I'm going to take the closest, and then the next farthest. Let's keep taking the closest, and the farthest, and the closest, and it looks like this is the farthest. I'm left with a shot, or an average, that is about 2.5 feet from the hole. I'm happy with that from just off the green, but I'd like it to be a little bit closer. You can use this exercise to figure out your average distances from a bunker shot, a high soft shot, or a shot just off the green, and hopefully play with a better mindset on the golf course.
Hi, I'm Akil Rahim, PGA of Canada teaching professional at Salem Ridge Golf and Academy. Today we're going to talk about getting to a full balanced finish in your golf swing and what that's going to indicate. So let's have a look at the full finish and where we should be at the end of this finish. So at the end of the finish, you'd like to have a full release of the golf club, indicating that you've allowed the club to continue to its finish. You'd like to have a full release of the body, meaning that your weight is totally off your back foot and onto your front side. And lastly, you still want to remain in a slight tilt at the end of your golf swing, indicating that you've maintained your spine angle through impact. Now, what I typically see with my students when they come to me is we usually see 4 off-balance positions. The first one will be where the weight's hanging back. What this causes is either the club to bottom out too early or to hit up onto the golf ball, causing inconsistent contact as well as shots to the right. The second off-balance position I see is finishing too far forward with the upper body, indicating that you've used too much of your upper body to try to propel the golf ball. Thirdly, what I see is standing up through the golf swing in the spine angle, indicating balance is onto the heels. And the last one that I see is, especially from players who've been told to keep their head down, is they try to keep their head down too long, So they take a step forward, which means they haven't released their body fully to the finish. So once again, we want to end up in a nice full finish, being able to hold that finish until the ball lands. So if you need any more help with your finish, please go and see your local PGA of Canada professional.
I'm here at Totem Life Science in Toronto, and we're not going to talk fitness today. We're going to talk nutrition and the importance of nutrition in increasing your performance. You know, 1 of every 4 golfers who's playing golf globally, and now we're talking professionals, amateurs, any foursome around the world, 1 in every 4 is on pain-modifying drugs. And the reason for this is the inflammation in our body. And unfortunately, with the inflammation, not only does it cause pain, but it causes our joints and our muscles to decrease the range of motion they're able to go through, which means we cannot golf as effectively as we want to. More pain, less range of motion, worse golf. So what we can do to combat that is actually eat foods that are anti-inflammatory. So some of the ways we can do that, we can look at, instead of having the sport drinks with the high sugar content, we can look at something like coconut water. So the coconut water has all the electrolytes and minerals that we want, but doesn't have all the unnatural processed sugars in it, so it's not going to increase the inflammation. We can have, instead of the dairy, which creates a lot of acidity and inflammation in your body, we can go to something like an almond milk that has just as much, if not more, calcium than the milk does, but doesn't cause the breakdown of your tissues and increase in pain. You know, you look at your greens, whether you're talking about spinach, kale, chlorella, any of those naturally decrease the inflammation by creating an alkaline environment. The more alkaline the system is, the less inflammation is there, less pain. And of course, if you're gonna have a protein supplement or any sort of sports supplement, you wanna look at one that does not create inflammation in your body. Vega products just happen to be one of the products that I tend to use. They're made out of whole foods, no man-made chemicals in them, and they're fantastic at creating that alkaline, non-inflammatory environment. So if you want to learn more about nutrition and how it affects your golf, and you want to maximize how much time you can play golf healthy at the best performance, check us out, tourcouncil.com.
Stay tuned. A few tips for your flat stick are next. Oh, you know, it was a Canadian, Al Balding, the great Al Balding, who coined the phrase, you drive for show, but you putt for dough. And Al won a lot of dough, so he must have known a thing or two. And that's why really working on your putting is essential to you having a good round of golf and playing consistently good golf. So here are some tips to help you with your putting.
Hi, my name is Scott Cokes, and I'm here to show you a little drill that I use with Canadian amateur champion Mackenzie Hughes to help tune up his lag putting. And we call this a Mackenzie money drill. What we're gonna do here, we've got 3 tees set about 1.5 feet behind the hole, and we're gonna hit 3 putts here for you today. I'll demonstrate. So the first putt short of the hole, that's gonna cost me $1. The second putt went past the tees that are about 1.5 feet past the hole, so that cost me 50 cents. The third putt finished between the hole and the tees, so that cost me $0. Now, if I'm good enough here to make a few of these putts, I get to make $2, okay? So to review, if you're short of the hole, it costs you $1. If you're past the tees, it costs you 50 cents. If you're in between the hole and the tees, there's no dollars. And if I make the putt, I actually get $2. So great little drill that Mackenzie and I use all the time to tune up his putting. And you can play this with your buddies, and it's a fun little game around the greens.
I'm Dennis Firth, and I've got a simple putting drill to help you with those nasty 3-footers. Simple metal yardstick lined up right in the center of the hole will help us with our putting fundamentals. What we're going to do is we're going to get in a good putting stance where my eyes are right over the numbers of the yardstick. Next, I can get the putter square to the end of the yardstick and perpendicular to the hole. And from here, I'm just going to rock my shoulders and knock it in. And you'll notice the ball stayed on the yardstick the whole time and hit the back of the hole and went in. Now, if you struggle and you miss the putts to the left, that's going to tell us that the putter blade has closed through the stroke and you'll see that it misses to the left and falls off the ruler. And conversely, if you notice that you're leaving putts out to the right, your putter blade's opening through the putting stroke and obviously missing the hole to the right. So if you need help with your putting, you can use this simple drill and make more 3-footers. Best of luck on the greens.
A lot of people have been buying belly putters the last couple of years, and the most common thing I see them doing is not having their eyes over the golf ball. So I'm here to give you a couple of tips today to help get you over the golf ball, to make you hit it in the center of the club face and online. First thing I would do when you buy a new belly putter is test yourself to make sure your eyes are over the golf ball. Put a golf ball on your nose, you drop it, it lands behind the golf ball, means your eyes are behind the golf ball. When your eyes are behind the golf ball, it's going to cause you to hook your putts and miss them left. So what I'm really looking for is to have your eyes over the golf ball. It's going to accomplish 2 things. Number 1, allowing you to get the golf ball started on line, and number 2, allow you to hit the golf ball in the center of the club face. So what I want to do is put a golf ball on my nose, I want to drop it, and I want it to land in very close to the golf ball that's in front of the putter. And again, this is going to allow you to have your eyes over the golf ball and allow you to take the golf club back and through in a straight line and allow you to hit the golf ball in the center of the club face. If you need more help with your new long putter or your game, don't be afraid to contact your local PGA of Canada golf professional.
Week Speaks is brought to you by Bushnell, makers of the Pro 1M and Tour Z6 rangefinders.
If you want to learn how to play the piano, what do? You go to a teacher. If you had trouble in high school with your trigonometry homework, what did you do? You went and saw your teacher. But for some reason, golfers, oh yeah, we think that through osmosis or something, we're just going to suddenly play better golf with no instruction. So we stand up on the range and we beat balls out into the field. And then we go onto the golf course and we hit shots left and we hit shots right and we hit them high and we chili dip and we 3-putt. And we just can't understand why we can't play better golf. Well, I'm telling you folks, there's a very easy way to improve your game. Go and see your PGA of Canada professional. Get a lesson, take some instruction. I guarantee you, you will enjoy it much better. I'll bet you there's a PGA of Canada professional at the course in your town. Go and see them, make an appointment, and you'll have fun this summer on the golf course. That's all the time we have for this week on Score Golf TV. I hope you enjoyed our 1-hour special and got some help for your game. We will see you next time right here on Score Golf TV.
Thanks for watching Score Golf on TSN, the voice of Canadian golf. Score Golf is brought to you by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side. Bob Weeks Clothing supplied by Ashworth.